All right, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're all having a great CS Ed week. I am here to welcome our CS Hero speaker for the day. This is Jarrod Parks. He is a Zillow app designer. I'm excited about what he has to share with you this morning, and I'm going to let him take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can we hear okay? Awesome. So my name's Jarrod, and thank you for the introduction, Caitlin. I was sitting in your seat just maybe 25 years ago, something like that. I went to Madison City Schools. I was a student at West Madison, Heritage, Liberty, and then Bob Jones High School. And so I'm super excited today to share with all of you a little bit about what I do and how I do it, and maybe things that you might become interested in as you're learning in school. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Oop. Not Pikachu. Hold on. That's for later. Okay. Can y'all see this okay? I'm trying to see if I got, there we go.
Always one in the number.
I can hear somebody's audio there. Can we see okay? Can someone give me a thumbs up? Can we see my slides here? Okay, sweet. Okay, so this is intended to be interactive, so I don't know if anyone's close enough to a microphone, but I just want to start by asking everybody, what is an app? Because I'm an app developer, so I want to make sure everybody knows what an app is. Maybe you guys already know. And I can't see. Maybe Caitlin, can you tell me if there's somebody that's got a microphone? Guess I could have pre-planned this a little better.
I can't get on.
Okay. Well, I've got some words that maybe you thought about. So an app is like a tool or a game, a program, a system, a gadget. There's a lot of different words that we use for apps. And maybe some of you have used apps before on a smartphone like this, or an iPad, or on your computer. But apps are everywhere. And so I build apps. That's one of the things that I do, and I work for a company called Zillow. Does anybody know what Zillow is? I know the teachers probably do. Does any of the students, do you know what Zillow is? I see a couple hands. Can we get somebody's answer here? See, maybe Miss Hernandez, your class. I saw some hands go up real quick. Can you come off of mute for a second? Maybe we're still on mute there. We'll give her a second here. I can't hear you, but maybe you can hear me.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, yes. Awesome. Okay. So the question is, what is Zillow?
Seth. This is Seth Fleming. We are from Horizon Elementary.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
And that means it's short for application, which is used for something.
Yes, very good. And do you have somebody over there too that wants to answer what is Zillow, or that has an idea of what Zillow is?
This is Jubilee.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Zillow is an app where you can look at houses. Okay.
I heard Zillow is an app where you look at houses. That is very much correct. We do a lot of other things too. And so I won't bore you guys with all the details, but yeah, Zillow is a company that helps people buy and sell homes. And so I build tools that help people do that. So at first it said, I think, hi, I'm Jarrod, I'm an app developer, but I'm going to change that a little bit to make it a little bit easier. I make tools for people that are buying and selling homes. Let me move this out of the way. This is one of the apps that I built. I don't know how well everybody can see, and it's okay if you can't see, but it's for the iPhone and for Android devices. I make this, and I work with a team of about 5 to 10 people. And so we have people that design this. They come up with the screens. They're like artists. There are other people who talk to the people buying and selling homes that get an idea for what do people want to see when they look at a home. Like if I was going to pull up your home, what would you want to show about your home so that somebody might want to buy it? So this was just from a presentation we had at work. Here's another screen where people can download images for a home. So that's one of the things that the app does. And we'll leave that all aside. I want to talk about how I got started because this is where y'all are. Y'all maybe, some of you maybe have coded before. Oh, Maddie, there we go. When I was in elementary school, my dad started showing me how to make web pages. So I'm actually going to show everybody how to make a web page really quick. So can everybody see this? Can you see this? It's a little bit small. I'm gonna try to make it as big as possible. Okay, so this is another tool. This is a tool where you can write code. And so I'm gonna make a quick web page, just like I did when I was maybe in 5th grade. This is the first time that I did this. So um, don't worry if you don't understand everything it says here, but we're gonna make a little bitty web page. Okay, save that. Okay, so this is a super simple web page. It just says, hello, everyone. And so when I was learning how to code for the first time, my dad showed me how to make web pages just using a file like this. And so I was going to add the first web pages that I ever made were pages about Pokemon because I loved Pokemon when I was in elementary school. So we'll add Pikachu's picture to this web page. And so that was the first thing that I did. And after I learned how to make web pages, I started learning how to make games. So I'm going to show you a game that I made when I was in high school. Okay, I think I'm not getting any echo anymore. So I don't know if anybody's ever played a game like this before, but it's a game where there's a path and there's little creatures or enemies that go across the path and you have to destroy them. And so this was a game that I made when I was in high school. All right, so I'm pretty excited to show. I'm going to mute it. And this is using a game engine called Unity. So I started with web pages, and then I started moving on to building games. So I'll kind of zoom through here. Let's back up. Yeah, so there's little enemies going across the screen, and you got to take them out, and you build towers, and you try to make sure that nobody gets through. And so using the skills that I learned coding, I went from just the web pages to building games. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with coding and with programming and making apps. So the next thing that I wanted to show is that I'm still making games and I'm still making apps. So even though I work for Zillow and I build apps kind of like this, you can use programming to do so many different things. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to share my other screen. So give me just a moment here because this is something I think everybody will know. Do people know what this is? I can't see it.
Minecraft.
Yes. Okay. We've got somebody that knows. Good. This is Minecraft. So
I love Minecraft.
this is a special kind of Minecraft. And in this Minecraft, you can write code. Just like I was writing code on for the web page, you can write code to do things in Minecraft. So this Minecraft has a little code builder here. And maybe you've also seen this style. So I'm going to show you there's a different style of coding you can do that's kind of like putting Lego pieces together. It's called block coding. And so maybe some of you have done block coding before. See if I can get it to update here. A little slow. There we go. So while it's switching over, I'm going to show you just a few examples of what you can do with code in Minecraft. So maybe this is something that you're interested in learning about. And if you are, you can always ask your teachers. I've got plenty of resources I can share teachers on this if this is something that you want to show your students more of. Okay, so in this little code editor, I can tell our little robot to do things. So let me see if I can find our command for C1. There it is. Okay. It's all the way on the end. Just bear with me. It's a little bit slow. So hopefully it's coming across okay for you. Okay. So the first command that I have right here, it says C1, on command C1. What we're going to do is we're going to move our robot, and then once the robot teleports, it's going to move forward. So I'm going to change this. It says move forward by 10. I'm going to change it to 5 instead of 10. Okay. So there's a little robot, and we're going to tell him to teleport. And he teleports and he moves to about halfway along this track, but we want him to move all the way. And so I wanted to show you this because a lot of my job is not just writing code, it's just thinking about problems. So maybe like the problems that you do, like word problems, maybe in your classes. And sometimes I'm writing things down on paper and just thinking about what am I going to do first before I ever write any code. Actually, the coding part, this part that you see now, this is actually maybe one of the smallest parts of my job, but more of my job is about solving problems and building things. And so for this problem, obviously we need to change back to 10 instead of 5. If we do that, and we're going to rerun our command, then our little robot's going to make it all the way to the finish line. And there he goes. And he makes it all the way to the finish line. So this is just a simple example, but I've got some cooler ones. We'll look over here. So over here, this coding challenge in Minecraft is they want your robot to build the house that's on the left. So I'll show you the robot doing that. So he's going to go through and he's going to break everything, if there's anything there. So he's got done clearing out the area. Now he's going to start placing blocks to build the house. There he goes. Yeah, so Minecraft's a really great tool for learning how to code. And then this same code that you write in Minecraft, it's this really not that different than the kind of code that I use at Zillow every day. In Minecraft, you can write code in 3 different languages. So just like we speak English, or maybe some of you speak other languages, maybe Spanish or French or Japanese or Chinese, or just I know there's a lot of different languages now in Madison City schools. You code in different languages. And so the language that I use for this is called JavaScript. And the language I use at Zillow every day is also called JavaScript. So it's the same language. And so when you learn these things in school, these are the same kind of skills you can use in the real world if you get a job doing coding. Okay, let me stop that for now. And I'll start my video again. Hey, everybody. I see a lot of faces now. I wanted to leave as much time as possible for questions because I can show everyone lots of different cool things about programming, but I kind of want to know what questions everyone has. So I think there's an ability to raise your hand in the chat. So if you have a question, teachers, if there are questions, please feel free to raise your hand. And I don't know, Caitlin, if we need to orchestrate this a different way. If so, let me know.
I think that should work. And
Okay.
you can just say who you want to unmute themselves when you see the hands go up.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, we've got some time here. And you can also put questions in the chat. I see Austin, hey from Austin. So if anyone has a question in the chat, feel free to write your question there. Okay. Here we got a question right here. Why do you prefer Java over other codes? Okay, so Java is one of many languages, right? And so I actually don't use Java so much in my job. But I would say a lot of it depends on what you're building. So sometimes for example, with Minecraft, you only have two options. You can use JavaScript or Python. I think you can actually build in Java too, but it depends on the Minecraft version that you're using. And so sometimes the system dictates what languages you can use. For me, most of the work I do is with an iPhone like this. And so with iPhones, you have a few options. You can use Swift or JavaScript, TypeScript. There's a few others. But if you're just asking which language do I like the most, I think my favorite language is Swift because it's really easy to write in. Java is a little bit wordy. It's like having to write a 200-page paper to write you only need to write two sentences, but you have to write 200 words or something to write two sentences. It's very long, but Swift is a much shorter, so I like that a lot. Okay, I'll get to the chat questions. Let's go with, I think, was it Mary Haynes? I've seen that hand raised for a while. Yeah, do you want to come off mute and ask your question, please?
Can you hear us? What are all the things that you code?
Do you mean like all of the languages, or do you mean like what kinds of things do I build?
Like what kind of things do you build?
What kind of things do I build? Okay, good question. So, for my job, my main responsibility is building apps. So things that run on iPhones and on Android devices. But in my free time, I build lots of different things. So in my free time, I've built games. I've done things with Minecraft. My brother and I, we really like to play disc golf. I don't know if anyone plays disc golf, but we made an app for disc golf. And so really what I would like to say to everyone is that if you learn how to code, you can build like almost anything. There's so many cool ideas you can do when you learn how to code. So great question. I'll take another question here from the chat. So someone said, where did the idea for Zillow come from? So Zillow, the word comes from pillow. So everybody knows what a pillow is. And the Z in Zillow, I think, comes from zillion. So like million, billion, trillion, somewhere there's a zillion, I think. And so Zillow wants everybody to rest nicely on their pillow based on the things that they build. You know, their hope is that everybody can find the home that they love with Zillow. So that's where the idea is. Next question is there Java you can learn as a young kid? That comes from Miss Lester's class. Yes, there is. There are different tools. There's so many things online that you can use to learn Java. For me, I started learning Java in high school in Miss Roundtree's class at Bob Jones. I don't know if any of the teachers may remember Miss Roundtree, but that's where I learned Java. So there's lots of different ways. My recommendation actually is to not start with Java. It might be to start with something like HTML. And that's what I was showing earlier. I'll share it again. This kind of code here, where you make a web page, is a little bit easier to start with. And so a lot of this is more about displaying information. So we can say like, I really like to play Pokemon, right? And then we can jump over, refresh. I really like to play Pokemon. So HTML is a good place to start understanding how the code that you write here has an effect on what you see. So that would be my recommendation for that. Okay. Let's go with Allie. I see your hand raised with the blue bow on.
How did you learn to code?
How did I learn to code? Good question. So I started with the web pages like I was showing, and my dad was teaching me how. So my dad made web pages for fun, and he taught me. And then after my dad taught me how to make web pages, the first programming class I took, I was a freshman at Bob Jones, and I learned how to code from Miss Roundtree. She was my first teacher. Good question. Okay, Amanda Riddle. I see your hand raised. Do you want to come off mute?
What is your favorite game?
Okay. I heard it, if you don't mind muting. So I think the question was, and give me a thumbs up if I hear it right, was what's my favorite game? Yes. Okay. Oh, that is such a good question. I love games. So actually, the game that made me want to learn how to program, I'm going to show everybody really quick. So maybe you've seen this game before. Uh, oh, not that. Has anybody ever seen this game?
Yes.
So this game, Super Mario 64, this is the game that I played for the first time when I was maybe 8 years old. 8 years old. And every game before this was flat. So let's see if I can find, yeah. So if you look at Mario here, you see he's 3D, right? You can see like shapes and circles and depth. But before that, let's see, Mario for NES. Before that, all of Mario games looked more like this. And so I remember seeing, oh, Mario is cool, but this is so much cooler. It's in 3D. And so I just wanted to know, how do people make games like this? And that's what got me interested in programming. So great question. Okay, let's see. I'm going to take a few more from the chat. Do you use a lot of Python? Yes, I do. So I mentioned that I build, for the phones often, and for that I don't use Python, but I do a lot of automation with Python. So for example, every time that we need to release an update to the phone for our app, if I was to do that process by myself, it gets super boring. And it's the same thing every time, over and over again. And so I've actually used Python to write little programs, little apps that do my job for me. It's really cool. They're like little robots. And so they put the app together and then they send it to Apple, and they put the app together and they send it to Google for Android. So good question. Okay. Cambria, is I'm saying that right? Cambria, I see your hand raised. Do you want to come off mute? We'll give her a second while they're looking. Okay. How did you start as a coder? Okay, so I answered that one. How do you make sticky pistons? Oh man, somebody's got to help out Ashton. Okay, I know somebody in Ashton's class or somebody here knows how to make some sticky pistons. Okay, that's a Minecraft question. Somebody can help her out. Another question is, what is Swift? Swift is a special programming language that Apple made. So just like an Apple phone, or maybe if you've used a Mac before or an iPad, that company, they made their own programming language called Swift. How many games have you made? Oh, maybe a dozen, maybe 12 or so. Most of them are not very good. Actually, let me show you. Let's see if I can come off this. Here we go. So this is my little website, and so this is kind of cool. This is a picture of a monkey game that I was making. And so this is like the costume for the monkey. And so it looks strange because it's really flat, but maybe you've done an activity before in your class where you make a cube and you give like a piece of paper and you fold it up and it makes it into a cube. That's the same thing you do here. This picture gets folded around a character to make a little monkey character. So I did that game. I did I had a little game with zombie, little capsules, I guess. I rebuilt a racetrack from Mario Kart. So this is like a model that looks like the Mario Kart game I made because I liked Mario Kart. What do we have here? Oh, a friend of mine did some art for like a little monkey game I was making. And then I'll scroll up. This game doesn't look very impressive, probably, but this game right here, Red Block, Blue Block, it runs on the old Nintendo, like the Nintendo that maybe your parents played, maybe some of your grandparents. I don't know. It was released in the late 1980s, I think. So this game runs on the original Nintendo. And let me go get something for everybody real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab it. I'm in my office, so it's just right over here, but I want to show you all something really cool. Does anybody know what this is? This is the original Nintendo. It was called the Famicom in Japan. So this is what that red block, blue block, it plays on this system. So this system is older than me. I'm 33 years old. This system was probably made before 1990. So maybe it's 35 or 36. But yeah, I made a game for this. So I've made lots of games. Good question. Okay, next one. If you want a job as this comes from Tessa Hernandez, or her class. If you want a job as an app designer, what are your suggestions for middle school and high school classes? So a lot of programming involves math, a little bit of math, not a ton. So it's good to have some experience with numbers. I know that's a bit, there's lots of things you can learn in math, but it's good to have experience in math. And then if you can take a programming class, try a programming class and see if you like it. If you don't like programming, there's still lots of ways to build apps. When you say app designer, that's a really big word. So designers, maybe they're the people who write the code, but also there are designers that create the screens. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to share my screen again. So we use this app every day at work. It's called Figma. And one of my friends, Camille, she uses it all the time on our team. So let me find, here we go. So Camille doesn't write any code, but she is a designer. And so I'll zoom into these screens. She builds what these screens look like. So she creates it and she lays out the information. Let's see. Let me if I can find. Oh, I like this one. So she designed all of the buttons in our app. So, like, for example, she made all of these buttons for us. And so it's my job to take what Camille does. So take this button that says click me and to actually build it. So she tells me what colors to use. She tells me what size everything is supposed to be, what type of font to use. Sometimes they use really blocky font, and sometimes it looks like cursive writing or really special. And so she designs all of these things, and she's also an app designer, right? So you've got app designers that are more doing the design, building what you see, and then you have people that write code. So great question. So if you like, if you're interested in doing that, there's also, I don't know if you guys have design classes, but there's lots of free things online. So maybe talk with your teachers or parents and you can find ways to learn this online. And sometimes it's free. You don't have to pay anything. It's absolutely free. Okay. Noble, I've seen your hand for a minute. You mind coming on?
When coding, what is your like number one recommended like code that you use? Out of all of the codes that you could possibly use, what is the number one?
Okay, good question. Thank you for your question. So, if you ask one programmer this question, you may get 1,000 different answers, but I will try to give you some answer. So, if I was you today, maybe I would recommend learning a language like JavaScript or Python. And the main reason is that they're really easy to use. Some of the other languages, you have to do a lot of setup. You have to download special programs, and that can be kind of confusing if you've never written code before. But with JavaScript, you can write JavaScript code very easily, and same with Python. So I'd probably pick those two, and they're also becoming very popular around the world for different kinds of apps and different kinds of tools. So maybe some of you know about artificial intelligence or AI and like robots and things like this. A lot of those systems are built with Python. And so, yeah, Python or JavaScript, I think, is a good starting point. But learning programming languages and learning code is a lot like learning how to speak different languages. So maybe some of you speak, like I said, Spanish or French. I actually speak a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of Japanese. And when I started learning how to speak different languages, it helped me when I learned how to code because just like a spoken language, code has its own grammar and different ways that you say things. And so those skills are really good to have too. Okay, so from Colton, how did you get on the Minecraft coding, specifically Java? So I don't know how I'd have to look at it. There is a way to code in Java for Minecraft. The Minecraft that I was showing you is called Minecraft Education. And Minecraft Education is JavaScript, Python, or block coding. Maybe one of your teachers can help you with that one. How long does it typically take to create a game? How long did it take to design Zillow? From Mrs. Giles' class. Making a game, it depends on how complex the game is. I would recommend if you want to make a game, start super simple. I don't know if anybody's ever played Pong. I know your teachers probably have played Pong. Pong is a good starting point because if you try to make a really hard game, maybe you'll work really, really long for many, many weeks and months, and you never get to play it, and it's not very fun. And maybe you get tired or you burn out. And so my recommendation is to start small so that as soon as you write just a little bit of code, you can play it because playing it is where the fun is. And if it's not fun, then maybe you won't want to keep coding. Okay. How long did it take to design Zillow? Zillow's been a company for over 15 years. And so they have so many different products and they've got hundreds of engineers. I think Zillow has maybe 4,000 employees. And so it's taken a long time to build Zillow and they just keep making it better and better. So the first version of Zillow, maybe it was just a picture of a home and information about how much it cost. But over the years, they've added videos, they've added floor plans, they've added lots of different things. Would you recommend Python? Yes, I would. How many coding games have you made? We talked about that. What's your favorite game? What's the most common language? What language do you speak? Let's see. When you make apps for Zillow, do you think about the app? Maybe that question is like, do I think about the people that are using the app? Yes. And so I mentioned Camille, who makes the designs, and I showed everybody some of the buttons and things that she's made. She does a lot of research with users. And so she'll go and talk with people who are looking for a home and say, what do you want to know when you look for a home? What do you want to see? And so then Camille comes and talks to our team, and we help build those things. What's the favorite thing you've made? That's a tough one. Is that a coding question or is that just in general? Because recently, in addition to code, I mentioned that I speak a little bit Japanese. I've really loved learning Japanese because it's very different than English. And so that's probably my favorite thing right now is learning Japanese. How long have you been writing code? For about 25 years. About 25 years. I think I started when I was around 12. Do you have to be a good artist to create games? This is a great question. So the short answer is no. So there's lots of ways to get free art that you can use in your games. So like for example, I mentioned making a simple game is usually the best. So let's say pixel character sheet. So for example, maybe you need a simple little person in your game. Here's a sheet with a little character that you can maybe use, right? So there's all kinds of resources like this. You have to make sure that they're free or that the artist who made them gives you permission, but you don't have to be an artist to make games. I mean, think about Minecraft. Minecraft is very simple graphics. So there's lots of ways to make games, even if you're not an artist. Sticky pistons. When you make games, do you make them in other languages? This comes from Cheryl Campbell's class in Aubrey. Yes, it depends on the platform. So this machine, This machine does not know anything about Python. It's like somebody who doesn't speak, maybe you speak Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, so I wouldn't understand you. This Nintendo, it doesn't speak Python, so it wouldn't understand Python. It speaks a language called 6502 assembly, which is very old language. And so, depending on what system you're building for, you need to speak its language. So, if you're building something that's going to run on the iPhone, maybe it could be in Swift. If you're going to do something that's going to run on the internet, like on Google Chrome or Safari or Microsoft Edge, maybe you could do it in JavaScript. So, it depends. Good question. Austin, I see your hand raised.
What is your favorite game to make?
I like favorite type of game.
Yes.
Okay. My favorite type of games are strategy games. So I really like games like chess, or I like board games, Monopoly. Um, and so games that you have to come up with really interesting strategies. I love card games. So when I played Pokemon as a kid, I mentioned I like Pokemon. I liked the game on the Game Boy, but I also loved, oh, hey, cool, fireworks. I also loved the card game. The card game was really fun to me because it was a strategy game. Okay. From Noah and Mrs. Hernandez's class, do you like making games or apps? I love it. It's great. One of the things I didn't talk about, but this is super cool, is that because I do most of my work on a computer, I can work mostly anywhere. So right now, this is just my house. I'm at my house today, just working at home, but I can travel around the world, and as long as I have the internet, I can work. And so this job is very flexible, and it gives me a lot of time to balance with my family. So that's really important to me. I have two little girls and my wife, Katie. And so we get to spend a lot of time together because I don't have to go into an office every single day. That's not that office jobs are bad. There's lots of great office jobs too. Or people that work in factories and different things like that. But with programming, you can do that job really anywhere. Okay. 3TD tower defense. What colleges do you recommend for coding? From Oliver. So for me, in my generation, when I was your age, I think a lot of people thought you have to go to college to get a certain kind of job. So you have to go to college to be a coder, for example. I think that's changing a lot. There's lots of different ways to learn now. And so I actually went to UAH in Huntsville, so that's really close to everybody here. But I also learned a ton of things online. So coding is so unique. You don't have to go to a special place to learn because all you need is the internet, really. And so it depends. So maybe you want to go, if you want to go to a college for coding, there's lots of really great colleges. Georgia Tech is really, that's where I wanted to go. I didn't have enough money to go there, so I went to UAH, but Georgia Tech is a really good engineering school. Any school that's got a strong engineering program probably has a strong software or coding program too. But I would also recommend, just try online. Like I have friends who didn't even go to college who are great programmers that I work with every day, and they have the same job as me, and they never went to college. Some of them didn't even finish high school. And so my advice is just whatever you want to do, if you work hard at it, especially with coding, you can find the information and find the resources for it. And you just have to be focused and know what you want to do. And so, yeah. Okay. Amira, I see your hand raised.
What got you into coding?
So I don't know if you saw a second ago. I'll share it again. Uh, this got me into coding. Super Mario 64. I just remember playing this game and it was a ton of fun to play. But for me, I was like, who who made this game? Oh, you can't see it, Mary? Can other people see the Super Mario game? Can someone give me a thumbs up? No? Let me try. I'll send it in the chat. If teachers, or if you can pull this picture up in the chat, it's you may have to click continue, but it's just a picture of Super Mario, the game for the Nintendo 64. That's the game system I played as a kid. But when I played that game, I really wanted to know, how did they make this game? I thought it's fun to play, but I really want to know, how do you make it? Because I want to make my own games. Okay. Zoe, I see you raising your hand. Do you have a question?
What's your favorite card game? It has a technical
Oh.
difficulty.
Okay, I got it. I got it, Zoe. So she asked, "What's my favorite card game?" Um, I love Pokemon, the original Pokemon game. Now, if you play Pokemon cards now, the cards now are way too powerful. Like they gave them so many points and so much strength, but when I was a kid, they were not as strong. I feel like you had to use maybe more strategy. I don't know, but I really liked that game. Okay, Cameron with the glasses.
What
See,
made you what made you like your job?
great question. This job with Zillow I really like because I have good balance. So my parents used to tell me all the time, Jarrod, you have your whole life to work. You have your whole life ahead of you to work. Today I want you to be a kid and have fun, right? But as I've grown older, I always wanted to work and I wanted to do something fun. And with Zillow, I can work really hard, but I can play really hard too. So I have really good balance. I get to see my family a lot. And so that was really important for me. And I think as each of you get older and you learn the things that you like to do, and you learn, maybe you're a really social person. And so maybe it's really important you to talk with other people in your job. Or maybe you're not so social. Maybe you're a little introverted. I'm kind of introverted sometimes. So maybe you would want to work on a small team. Once you understand those things, that helps you figure out what kind of job you're going to enjoy doing. But I've done lots of jobs. So when I was in high school, I flipped pizzas. I was a pizza maker. I used to umpire baseball games, like strike one, strike two, you're out. I used to do lots of different jobs. So it's taken me a long time to find the job that I really like. Good question. Do you ever mess up from Ian at Midtown Library? Yes, all the time, every day. Every day that I write code. In fact, most of the time when I write something, the first time it is wrong and I have to fix it. And so that's really important as a coder, that you learn how to fix your own problems. That's really important as a person. And so you have so many things available to you now that I didn't have when I was a kid, and that your parents didn't have, or your grandparents. So many different resources and ways to ask questions. You just have to stay positive. When you start something new, it's always going to be hard. But if you can stick with it, it's worth it. So that's yes, I make lots of mistakes, and stick with it. That's my advice. Okay. Um, Asahi-chan, hey, I see the message there. What is the hardest thing you've ever coded? Um, in college, I had to build a program that would make a calendar based upon the days that you're free. And not just for one person, but for an entire school system. So the program I had to build is like a program that maybe your teachers would use. And the teachers would say, I'm available on Monday afternoons and Wednesday mornings and Friday around lunchtime. And then another teacher would say, oh, I'm available only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so my program had to take everybody's information and build the best calendar and figure out, when should we teach each class for like a college? When should we teach the science class? When should we teach the coding class? So it was really hard, but it was a lot of fun. Okay. From Reese, what is the future of coding? What are your future goals in coding? So right now there's a big movement to use artificial intelligence to make computer systems and robots that can solve problems better than people can. And so that's sort of the future a lot of people are anticipating and thinking about. For me, I wouldn't say that I'm super interested in those things, but I really like where I am now and what I'm doing now and just building fun apps for people. I think there will always be a need for people to build solutions for people, right? Like robots can do certain things really well, really, we would say like kind of like the boring things they can do really well. But maybe you've had this experience, or I know your parents have, when you call a place and you have to talk to a computer or a robot instead of a person. Sometimes that gets frustrating. And so I think there's always going to be a future in coding for people to be building things for each other. Okay, from Noah, who did you work with or who did you work for before Zillow? I've worked at a lot of different companies. I'll try to show you some pictures of them. Maybe that'll be the easiest way to tell you about them. So I worked for this company called Aereo. So actually the software that I was showing you and the app that I built, our company got bought by Zillow. Zillow bought our company. Zillow was like the big fish and we were the small fish and they ate us. And so now I work for Zillow. But I also work for, let's see, Spur Staffing Company. Is that still got a website? I used to work for Spur. A lot of purple companies. I don't know why all of our companies are purple. Purple's a cool color though. So I've worked for this company, Udacity. So this is an online school where you can go to learn different topics. I don't know if everyone can see. Can people see my screen? I know we had issues with that earlier, but I worked for a company called Udacity. I worked for AdTran. AdTran, I think this is AdTran. That's in Huntsville. Let's see. Does it say? Yeah, but I worked for AdTran when I was in college. I've worked at Pizza Hut. I've worked at just lots of different places. So yeah, I see somebody raising their hands that maybe likes pizza. I'm not sure. Yeah, what did you do before coding? I was just a normal kid. I played games. I hung out with friends. When I was in high school, I played football and baseball. I played in the band. I played the trumpet. Burp, 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 burp. So I did lots of different things. It's really good when you're young to try lots of different things. I would encourage you guys all to like try some music, try coding, try art, try sports, try all the things. How do you code without stress? That's a great question. For me, my family helps me stay not stressed and making sure you sleep really well. So don't stay up too late, and sleep. I go to sleep usually around 9 or 10. We have a little baby in the house, so she stays up and cries sometimes. So we have to stay up with her because she's still learning how to sleep. But yeah, so getting good sleep. What you eat is super important. So I try not to eat too much junk food. I really like junk food, but I try to eat healthy. That's really important too. That helps you stay, being healthy helps you stay not stressed. So, okay, we've got a lot of hands raised here. Zoe, do you mind coming off mute, Zoe? We've got 4 minutes, so I'm gonna try to cover as many. Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Favorite color? When I was a kid, it was purple. As an adult, I really like dark green, like a jade. I don't know if you guys have seen like an emerald, like a shiny jewel that's green. I love that color. Okay, Cambria, your hand's raised.
What's your favorite animal?
Favorite animal? They're not here with me right now, but I have two poodles, two big poodles at home, so I love my dogs. Okay, Cameron, and then Mary. So Cameron, you got a question?
What's your favorite? What's your favorite food?
Favorite food is sushi. Love sushi. Okay, Mary, Mary Haynes.
Have you coded any really popular games or like help code them? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have not. All the games I've made have really just been for me and for my friends and family. I would love to work on a big game. What's really important to know is that nowadays you have two different kinds of games. You have games that are made by like hundreds of people. So I'm trying to think, maybe like Fortnite. Maybe some of you guys know Fortnite. That game, there's hundreds of people that make that. But then there's lots of games that are made by maybe one person or two people, and those games are a lot smaller. For me, those are the kinds of games that I typically make. Yeah, good question. Say we got 2 more minutes. Cameron, you have another question? I still see your hand raised.
So, what's the favorite thing that you like about coding?
I love being able to tell the computer to do something for me, and then I'll say, "Okay, computer, do it." And then I'll walk away and I'll like drink a Coke or a coffee or something. I'm like, "Look at that. The computer's just doing it for me. That's so cool." So that's one of my favorite things.
Did you ever think to give up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anything hard is going to challenge you that way, but you got to stick with it. So I'm so thankful for my teachers and my family and my friends. They encouraged me when I didn't feel like I could keep doing it. So, yeah. Lizzie and Amira. So, Lizzie, you go first, real quick.
Okay. Was coding like your dream job?
Okay. My dream job is not coding. My dream job, actually, I want to go to Japan and be a missionary and to teach English. That's my dream. Yeah. Amira.
What was the first game you have ever made?
The first game that I made, I think, was that tower defense game that we showed earlier. So that game was actually more complex than the red block, blue block game that I made for this. But this game was so much harder to make because this is so old, and figuring out how to build stuff for this was so much harder. Okay. Mary.
Two things. First, him. I what is in all of your coding games what you made? Which is the best coding game you made for and you recommend for kids? What you made? And can we see the tower defense game?
Yes. Okay, I'll bring it up real quick. We're at 10 now, so let's see, where is it? 3JTD. So you can't find this game online, we just made this game for fun. We actually made it while we were staying in a hotel in San Francisco. Me and my brother and our friend John, we made this in 2 days. And so I'm trying to remember the question. Maybe this was the most successful game we've made because it had a good start and a good finish, and it felt fun, right? When you play games, if they're not fun, they're no good. And so this game was fun. It was fun to like try to win and all that. This was made with Unity. Unity is still a program you can download today and make games with. So I would really recommend that as a way to build games. I'm trying to remember what the question was. Did I answer the question? Maybe what was the best game I made? Maybe was that the question? I think that was probably one of the best games I've made. Okay, thank y'all. Whitney, or not Whitney, Caitlin, sorry. Caitlin Witt, I was saying Witt. Caitlin, I think we're at time, but I'm happy to answer a few more questions if kids and teachers have questions.
That's fine if it's fine with you. We want to respect your time, but
Yeah.
if there's more questions and you've got time, we can take them.
Yeah, let me look here real quick. Yes, I have time. So, okay. Amira, I see your hand next.
Why do you like coding so much?
So, oh, go ahead. Do you have another question too? Or just one? Just one? Okay. I really like coding because I love solving problems. I think that's the main reason. Like whenever I do something, or if I go to a new place, I feel like my mind is always trying to solve a problem. And so coding gives me lots of problems to solve, and I really like that. Okay, Cameron.
She has a question. What
Okay.
got you into coding?
Okay. What got me into coding was, I think we showed it earlier, but playing video games. Playing video games like Super Mario. Okay, Mary Haynes.
How long does it usually take to make the games?
Good question. So it depends on how complex the game is. So I mentioned the tower defense game. We did that in maybe 2 days. But like if you wanted to build a game like Fortnite or like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a game like I don't know if people know RPGs, role playing games. Those games can take a really long time because there might be a really huge world and you need lots of characters and graphics and you have to write a story. So yeah, those can take a long time, maybe months, years even, and lots of people. So if you want to make games yourself, I'd recommend keep it real small. Try to keep them real small.
That tower defense game, there's a game just like it, and it's pretty popular.
Yes, yes. That's why we made that one. Yeah, we were trying to do something that we knew people would like. Yeah. Okay. Thank you from Tessa Hernandez. Thank you guys for coming. I see a few more hands, so I'll try to get to those. Bye, everyone that's leaving. Zoe, I see your hand.
Have you ever played Geometry Dash?
I have not played Geometry Dash. I'm going to look it up after this, though. Maybe I will.
All right.
Thanks for the recommendation. Oh, am I muted? Okay. Austin, I see your hand. Bye, Mira. Bye, everyone that's leaving. Austin, can you hear me? Is there another question, Zoe, while we're waiting on Austin? Bye. Bye. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah.
All right, Jarrod, we don't want to take up any more of your time answering all of our questions.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Thank you to everyone who joined us, and thank you again, Jarrod, for sharing with us today. If you only came in partway through, this whole thing was recorded, so Miss Gibbs will be sending that out later. So thank you so much, Jarrod, and I hope that everyone has a great rest of their day.
Bye, everybody.